This video will explain the mass psychosis that is going on at the moment and what are the reasons for this mass psychosis. It is very simple. It is all caused by an illegal deal signed in 2017. Why is the deal illegal? Well, the deal was signed in my name without my knowledge, accepting two crimes that I could prove my innocence about in court, and which I still can, at any moment. It is that simple. And this deal, besides accepting two crimes, sentenced me to ongoing torture without an end date. Torture that is worse than actual prison time. It is that simple. This is what this deal is. The deal took away my human rights and sentenced me to lifelong torture. How did this happen? It is very simple. That a private internet group that was created on Facebook, which became worldwide, has one objective, and that is to promote and to reward people for crimes against me. That's it. People defame me, humiliate me, and dehumanize me, and then they get rewarded for it. This is what this phenomenon was from the very beginning. That's it. It is that simple. I was initially framed with the theft. I did not know about it. Then, based on some false stories that were made up in my high school, that private group was created, and then it grew until it became worldwide. Then I was framed with a second crime in order to enforce the signing of this deal. The signing of this deal is illegal, and there are multiple reasons for that. The first one, I don't need to provide any sort of proof. The deal legalizes crimes against me. Defamation is a crime in the penal code, and it's sentenced with 6 months of prison time. And every day, everyone that I meet commits this crime. It is that simple. The deal legalizes crimes. It is illegal. I'm not a lawyer, but it is that simple. You cannot make a mediation deal that legalizes future crimes. It is illegal. Second reason why this deal is illegal is because it is made entirely with a document that states that I was unfit to take my own decisions. And that is entirely based on the notes of the corrupt school psychologist. And for that, I have definitive proof. I recorded the meetings with this psychologist, and the meetings speak for themselves. I posted the recordings on YouTube, and everyone has access to them. The recording, the structure of the discussion is simple. I go to the psychologist and I tell him what happens. And I tell them that there is something about some photos that I think I was wrongfully accused of, and that I want to know what happens. And the people show me all sorts of signs and reactions, and make indirect references to let me know that I'm somehow involved in that. And that is exactly what happened. Based on this discussion, he made a report suggesting that I would be delusional and possibly have a psychotic illness based on this. And throughout the recording, my speech is normal. My English was not as good, but my speech is normal. There's absolutely nothing that suggests a mental illness. And those observations that he made, he basically said that what I've seen in people are delusions. But the entire planet knows that it's not true. Because at that time, there was a global private group in which people posted saying that I'm guilty of stealing some photos. And then they reacted based on what was posted on the group to my face. And that's exactly what I told the psychologist, but I did not know what those reactions were caused by. They were caused by the group, but I did not know that. As it can be seen, there's nothing delusional about that. It's just me observing the normal reactions of people. And that can be justified because some of those reactions were online and I saved some of them, which proved my point. But anyway, the entire planet knows that that group existed at the time and that people truly reacted like that because all of them were posting in that group regarding this exact topic. So the fact that someone made this notes of psychologist official as a document which states that I was unable to take my own decisions is a hypocrisy, and it can be proven to be a false, not false document, but wrongfully made. So it has to be nullified because the content of the document is false. The document was made official, but the content of the document is false. So the document should not exist, and that can be proven in law, in a court of law. So without that document, this deal cannot exist. And shortly, at this moment, the entire planet knows that the deal is illegal, and no lawyers, no politicians, no one who has the power to nullify it does it. And this is ridiculous. It is that simple. The deal is illegal. It has to be nullified. It doesn't matter if you think that I'm guilty or innocent. It doesn't matter. There is proof that the deal is illegal. It has to be nullified, and everything must go to court. That is it. At this point, silence is literally a crime. People who have the power to nullify this deal don't do it, despite knowing that the deal is illegal and the proof that proves that it is illegal is out there. This is one of the greatest hypocrisies in history. So, but why are people doing this? Let's go back to why I was framed. So I was framed initially with the first crime because some people didn't like the second crime, which is far worse than the first one. So the second one is I think rape or sexual assault and violence. Compare that to theft. So it's quite a big difference. Now let's see society's reactions. There were millions of people who at the time they were told this. The deal will be signed, and no one knew about the sexual assault and violence crime that I was framed for. Everybody only knew about the theft. So they knew that a minor, I was 17, yeah, a minor was accused of theft, and then an illegal deal was going to be signed, accepting that crime in his name, with a lot of conditions that are illegal, yeah, such as legalizing future crimes against me, yeah, that is illegal, right? And if I was going to find a private group in which people cyberbullied and defamed me based on false stories, I was going to go to prison for the crime that I was framed for and that I could prove my innocence about. But that's what I stated. I posted every day on the internet saying that I'm innocent and that I can prove it and people have to tell me what's going on. And that was true. I could prove my innocence then and I can prove my innocence now. That didn't change. What changed though is that some of the things that would have helped me prove my innocence back then don't apply now because too much time passed. But even in this situation, I can still prove my innocence. The deal was completely unnecessary and completely illegal. So why did millions of people allow it to exist? It is extremely simple. At that point, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe a million people cyberbullied me and defamed me based on false stories. That is a crime. So a million people committed the same crime. And the law states that people must pay for their crimes. It is extremely simple. So 1 million people decided that why should we pay for our crimes when we can make an illegal deal and strip my human rights away? They took my human rights away not because I was guilty or because I couldn't prove my innocence, but because everybody else was guilty and everybody else is guilty and they don't want to pay for their crimes. That is something that only happens in communist countries where dictators take human rights away from people because they can prove the truth. So, because they don't want to pay for their crimes, so the people who can prove that they're guilty are silenced, their human rights are taken away, they're locked up, and so on. This exact thing happened here, in front of the entire planet, and no one does anything about it. It is one of the greatest hypocrisies in history. And what happened afterwards? People realized that, oh, we have a global private group where only one person, and that is me, I don't have access to it. And the group was created with the aim of cyberbullying and defaming me for, for false stories. That is it. So what did people continue to do? They continued to lie and make up false stories. They continued to cyberbully me, to defame me, to dehumanize me, and so on. And people then were rewarded for it. From day one. This is what happened from day one since the illegal deal was signed. People started to cyberbully me and to make up more false stories about me, and so on and on and on every day. And everyone who did this got rewarded. Absolutely everyone, there's no exception. Just the fact that their story got worldwide attention is enough of a reward. The entire planet knows who they are because they made up a false story about me. And that's extremely simple. And from there, they have a huge opportunity to be rewarded further. They could be given more money, more fame, they could be given anything. And that has literally been proven. People who made up false stories about me were rewarded with their own private social media that grew and they became famous, and then they made money out of it. And how did they do that? They committed a crime, they made up false stories, they destroyed my identity, they defamed me, they showed psychopathic behavior because then they laughed about it and they made money out of it. And how did people justify that? They said, oh, yes, he must be guilty, so yeah, then we can do this to him. That's what everybody said. But I could prove my innocence at all times, but I wasn't given the opportunity to do that. The illegal deal was signed behind my back without me knowing anything. And then, in order to, this is society's entertainment. They make up false stories about me, they post it on the internet, and then they subtly give me indirect references about what is being posted there in order for me to react. Basically, they make up false stories, and it is really, really simple. I go somewhere, they make up horrible things to incriminate me for both crimes that I've sprained for, or other false stories and so on, and then they consolidate that as the truth, regardless of the fact that, despite the fact that I stated at all times that I'm innocent about all possible crimes, right? And besides, so they do that, they post that, they consolidate it as the truth, despite being completely illogical and contradicting everything that I ever said. And then they laugh and they subtly tell me, we made up false stories about you, we rewarded the people who did that, and now we're laughing. Who does that? That is textbook psychopathic behavior. And the entire planet does it collectively. And it happens every single day. People learn by making up false stories about me, by cyberbullying me, and so on. They get rewarded. That's all that this phenomenon is. I explain it in my books in detail. I'm going to make another book which I will present my proof in a logical manner. So the first book was my version of the truth. The second book was how to prove that version of the truth, which is the only truth. And the third book will be the actual proof, organized and shown in a logical manner. And at this point, there is enough proof that I presented to justify stopping this, because everything is very clear. It, it doesn't get more ridiculous than this. At one point, I stated, okay, everyone lies about everything. Everyone that I interact with lies. So ask them to provide proof. Ask them to provide a recording. Ask them to ask them to provide a video recording or a sound recording, anything. Something that shows that what they're saying is true. And I guarantee that all the stories are false and that there's no proof that exists. That is an extremely risky thing to say. Because there are thousands of false stories, and I say that all of them are false and there's no proof for any of them. And that is true. It is impossible for any proof to exist because all the stories are false. With all that, people kept going. So I took that, okay, I can do my own recordings then. So then I recorded everybody. And I have proof that everyone lies daily. With all that, no one cares. Society continues to reward everyone. Society continues to reward everybody. And it just keeps going on. I keep providing proof. I have a lot of things. I have a lot of things that are proof, and I have to organize them and present them in an easy to see manner, an easy to understand manner. So I keep doing that. I keep providing proof. Society keeps rejecting it, keeps adding more disinformation, focusing on something else, distraction, anything just to get rid of it, to reject it, and then, if possible, to censor it. Because what I present is actual proof with value in a court of law. It is not definitive proof, but it is proof. And these recordings are indeed definitive proof. 100% proof that people lied. So people said, you did this, and then you said this, and then I showed the recording at that exact time that this didn't happen. And I have recordings back until what? Until January or February. It's almost half a year, in which almost daily everybody lied. So hundreds of people who are not connected in any way, they don't know each other, all lied using the same pattern of lies every day. And I recorded everybody and I can prove that they all lied. With all that, society doesn't tell me, oh, there were lies said in that conversation or at that time. I asked to give them, could give me a specific time or a specific person, something, anything to know who and when the exact story was made up, who made it, and what time, and so on. Nothing was given to me. The society doesn't want to see the proof. They want to see me guilty, regardless of the fact I can prove my innocence. And there's another thing. So I say, okay, I can prove my innocence in court, so let me do it. Society says, no, we're not going to do that. But we're gonna consolidate our hundreds, maybe thousands of false stories, most of which incriminate me somehow. And they link all stories together, so regardless of what I make up, it somehow incriminates me. But that's in the false reality that this world created. Because everybody lies. Absolutely everybody. Everyone lied from day one until now. Everybody. There's not one story that is true. It is that simple. And I did everything right. I took the polygraph lie detector test and I passed. I shown that everybody else shown signs of lying. So I passed the lie detector test and everybody else failed. And this is exactly what I predicted. With all that, nothing changes. People keep making stuff up. People keep cyberbullying me, defaming me, humiliating and dehumanizing me in all possible manners. Because that is the entertainment of society. And to justify it, they had to make up false stories to say that I would be some sort of horrible criminal who rapes people and steals stuffs and insults everybody. So to make the kind of character that would deserve this sort of humiliation. But all of it is false. I'm innocent about the crimes, and not only the crimes. I'm innocent about all the stories. All the negative things that are said are false. And what happened when I stood up for the truth? So after years of daily abuse, which everybody lied and was rewarded for it and laughed in my face about it. But I didn't even understand what was going on because no one ever told me anything. Everything that I figured out is directly from people's reactions. There's subtle, indirect references, which many times are not that subtle. So, and when I stood up for the truth, and I was screaming in infinite pain until I had blood coming out of my throat, that I'm innocent and I can prove it in court, what did the government do? They didn't nullify the deal, because they knew what would happen. Hundreds, thousands of people would be rightfully accused and sentenced for their crimes. they analyzed the situation and they knew that I could prove everything. But what did they do? They made up false death threats. Death threats, huh? Then they locked me up. They made up some more false stories that I would want to hurt myself, maybe hurt others, and do all sorts of stuff. And then they wrongfully declared me insane. What was the cause of this mental illness that they made up? They said, and this is written in the report, they said this: Paul believes that there's a worldwide internet group, in which people post false stories about him and use his face or some sort of picture to defame him. That's what they say, and this is 100% true. The entire planet knows it. It also says in the report that Paul believes that he was accused or framed for 2 crimes. This is also 100% true. And he took this and he said, these are your delusions and you have to be treated for it. This is the official report. So the entire planet knows that what I said is true, right? They didn't say, right? So here is the hypocrisy. They justified it behind my back by saying, unofficially on the private group, that Paul would be delusional because he would actually say all these false stories and then he would not remember because of his mental illness or something like that. But the facts are clear. I'm innocent and I can prove it and everybody lied. But instead of getting everything in court and letting it play out, see, did everybody lie? Was Paul framed? Let there be justice in court. No, they didn't do that because they knew that I could prove everything. So they pretended that I would be crazy, and everybody else agreed to it because everybody else is guilty. And no one wants the horrifying truth. Everybody wants this sick entertainment in which an innocent person is humiliated and dehumanized. So they locked me up, they made up false stories, they destroyed my identity completely, they gave me extremely strong drugs, they literally took the strongest drug that they had and they gave it to me. They forced me to take it. This is literal torture. I don't think you process this, right? So what this is basically is government workers abusing their power, right, to lock up an innocent person and to torture him to be silenced regarding the horrifying truth that he can prove in court. You know, the mafia does this, right? And they take someone, they lock him up in a basement, and they give him some drugs, they beat him up or whatever, and then they say, okay, you gotta be silent or we kill you or something, right? And then people who do that, they get 2 decades, 3 decades in prison. The fact that government workers did this is far worse because there's supposed to be the people who help. There are tens of people who are guilty and should not see the light of day outside of a prison cell for many decades. But they're still doing their job. They're not fired. They're not sent to prison. And I can prove everything in court about this as well. But no one allows me to. If I show that report to anyone and say, okay, prove that the private group exists and that you're not delusional, but this is the greatest hypocrisy in history because the entire planet knows that the private group exists. It's that simple. They say, oh no, they say, okay, the things that we wrote in the report, that you make death threats and you wanted to hurt yourself and stuff like that, you don't remember it because of your illness. But I can prove that I was not mentally ill. I passed the polygraph proving that those things are false. And they didn't give any names. That was really important. In the report it says Paul made death threats. That doesn't say who. For everything else, there is a who. There is someone who says, okay, this person checked on Paul, Paul was alright. This person saw Paul, and Paul said that there is a private global group, blah blah blah. But for the death threats, there's no one. Because those people lie, and if they give a name, then I can sue that person, and I can prove this. I can prove it. I can prove it in court. I can prove the concept behind it. I can prove that I was. First of all, I can prove 100% that I was not mentally ill and that everybody never knew that. That is enough to get many people in prison, rightfully so. If everything is broken down and analyzed, everything that I say can be proven. to the extent where many people will go to prison for a very long time. And this is just regarding this government conspiracy, because this is what this is. My family is also involved. This is so ridiculous. So now back to my family. So I stated every single day, and I posted the same thing on the internet. I'm innocent. I can prove it. And there was one story for my first job with a bad smell and cigarette and stuff like that. And that was what society consolidated as the truth and the ultimate proof that I would be guilty, despite the story being completely illogical, contradicting everything that I ever said, and me being able to prove it and prove in court that the story is false. That story and all associated stories. None of this matters to society. I literally screamed that I'm innocent in infinite pain until I got blood coming out of my throat. And while I was doing this, my father made up a false story to incriminate me using this exact story. So he made up something to support this Batman story, to which I was saying that I'm innocent every day, and then he comes up and makes up a story to support this false story. And society's reaction is, oh, Paul must be crazy because he says that he's innocent and then he incriminated himself in front of his father. But that makes zero sense. Did really no one thought of the possibility? Did no one think of the possibility that my father lied? And this goes back for a long time. How was it possible? Because my parents signed this illegal deal in my name. How is it possible that before signing a deal to accept 2 crimes in my name and conditions which can lead to prison time, they didn't check for proof of innocence? They could ask, did you steal that? Did you beat up? Did you rape this person? Did you blah blah blah? Do you have any proof? They said nothing. They checked no evidence. They did absolutely nothing. They signed a deal. You would have to, if they told me, okay, do you have proof? I would have said, yes, I have. I would have presented a proof, and I could prove that I was innocent. Regarding the rape, I literally have a recording proving that nothing happened. Regarding the theft, I don't have a recording proving that nothing happened, but I have recordings with everybody involved, and none of them admitted anything. And if you analyze each recording and all my reactions and all their reactions, is enough proof to prove that it is extremely more likely for me to be innocent than guilty. So regarding the rape, I can prove 100% that I'm innocent. The people who frame me will go to prison. End of story. That was the situation. For the theft, I could prove that I was innocent to the extent to which I would be considered not guilty in court, but not to the extent to which the people who frame me will go to prison for it. And that's not the case in which I am not sentenced because there's not enough evidence against me. That would be the case that the people who frame me would not be sentenced because there's not enough evidence against them. The common knowledge would be that I would be innocent. And after that, my father destroyed that recording regarding the rape. But even in this situation right now, after that recording has been destroyed, I can prove that I'm far more likely to be innocent rather than guilty. And that is enough. That is enough for all accusations to be dropped. Because that is it. And again, the common knowledge will be that I am innocent because I really am, and I can prove that. It's not just a proof of concept. I can literally prove that in court right now about both crimes. Without that recording, fine, the people who frame me wouldn't go to prison. That is unfortunate. And yeah, but the fact remains that I will not go to prison, and the common knowledge remain. Not that I did not go to prison because there was not enough evidence against me, but the people who framed me did not go to prison because the evidence against them was not strong enough. That will be the final conclusion. And that is enough for me. But depending on how it plays out, it could be more than that. They could actually go to prison because I do not know all the details. I know enough to know what happened. I know enough to realize that I can prove my innocence. But depending on how it plays out, I might prove enough for some of them to go to prison. And this is just about the 2 crimes. Regarding everything else, for many people, the proof is already out there. You do not realize that hundreds of people defame me. They defame me, which is a crime. And the definition of defamation is as follows, right? So you share false information about a person with the intent of destroying their identity and reputation, right? To many people. And now think about this. Everyone that I ever knew, and most of the people that I met since 2017, that's 6 years ago, right? All of them made up false stories and posted them on a global private group. That is textbook defamation. And after they did that, they laughed and they tried to make money out of it. That requires the maximum sentence for that. You literally have hundreds of people who should be in prison right now, according to the law. The government knows this, right? That is why they preferred to have calm and stability and to lock me up and to destroy my life, one person, rather than make justice and mess up thousands of lives. But they're guilty and I'm innocent, and I can prove everything. This is what communists do. This is exactly what communists and dictatorship, this is what happens in a dictatorship. Someone comes up and says, I have proof that the dictator is a criminal. And then the dictator and the group around the dictator says, oh, okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take your human rights away. We're going to lock you up in a facility. We're going to pretend that you're crazy. We're going to torture you until you're silent. And then we let you go, or if you still talk, then we kill you. And this is exactly what they did. They locked me up, they tortured me, and I bet that they would have killed me and blamed it on one of their stories that was self-defense or that I would have done it myself or stuff like that. That's exactly what happened. And I can prove that in court. You literally have hundreds of people who should be in prison for destroying my life, and I can prove it in court, and society refuses to give me my human rights. The entire planet knows that this deal is illegal. The proof that the deal is illegal is out there, and no one does anything. What does happen though is that every single day, so today, yesterday, the day before that, tomorrow, the day after that, every single day, people get back, society gets back to their convenient delusions to reject the truth. It is that simple. They say, you're guilty. And I say, okay, you think I'm guilty? Let it go to court. If I'm guilty, I'll go to prison. That's simple. But why do you care? But they do care because they are the guilty ones. And the deal protects society. The deal only protects a guilty society. It does not protect me because I can prove my innocence. It protects society who is guilty, and they cannot deny that because the proof is already out there. So what do? They made up false stories to justify that I would be the worst kind of criminal and person possible who would deserve to be tortured. And then they keep torturing, they keep torturing me, and they keep promoting and rewarding everybody who does it. This is textbook psychopathic behavior, which everybody does it, and everybody laughs about it. It is the greatest hypocrisy in history. How do you get an entire society to be collectively, completely psychotic is beyond me. There's no oppression. No one forces anyone to do this. There's no lack of information. I provided the information. I shared it every single day. And people see it, they reject it, and they censor it themselves. No one does it. They do it. They want the truth gone. I can prove it in court, and they seem to want it gone. They don't want to see it. Because they know that it is true. They know that they are all guilty. They know that all their stories are false. They know that I'm innocent. They know that I can prove it. And then hundreds, thousands of people will be guilty. They'll be punished according to the law, and rightfully so. And no one wants that. Everybody wants this completely sick entertainment. It must stop. This is pure torture. It is impossible for me to have a social or professional life because this is what people do. I go into a new community from day one. Everybody makes up stories, and they just keep adding more and more stories every day. And then when I stand up for the truth, so there are two options. I do nothing, and then society consolidates everything as the truth, so I act normally. They feel weird. They stop acting normally. So I go into a community and I'm perfectly normal. There's nothing socially wrong with me. There's nothing intellectually wrong with me. My mental health is perfect. There's absolutely no problem. Never had a mental illness. I go in. I'm completely normal. And they, society, the community that I enter, regardless of where it is, it doesn't matter which country, which people, what sort of demographics, it doesn't matter. Everybody does it. From day one, people make up false stories. And then they make up more false stories and more false stories and so on. And then they feel weird about when they're next to me because they know that they made up horrible stories about me and they laughed about it. And then they want me gone. And even worse, if their stories are consolidated as the truth, they might say, okay, you stay here, we continue to make up stuff about you. But then if I stand up for the truth, obviously, rightfully so, and I say everybody lied, every single time their reaction is, oh, they feel threatened because now the truth is being said and they don't like it because what they basically did is make up false stories about a person who can't defend himself because he cannot see the false stories. So then they keep making up more false stories and more false stories. And every single time, in every community that I enter, it turns into a literal conspiracy, which is literally impossible to happen in a normal context. Things that you could not even think about happen. People thought of ways to make me look bad and defame me and to make me seem like a bad person so their actions would not be considered wrong. So many things were done. It is ridiculous. And it happened every single time. It's not one time when this didn't happen. Every community, all jobs. And can I keep a job because this is what happens? Everybody makes up false stories. Everybody treats me like trash. They dehumanize me and then they want me gone. And they all get rewarded for it, and that's why everybody keeps doing it. It must stop. It's ridiculous. It's every job, every community, jobs, university, everywhere where I go, even communities that I just go through. I don't even stay there. I just interact with 2, 3 people, and I go and they make up false stories. Strangers make up false stories. At one point, people who were in the same place with me, they made up false stories without even talking to me. They even interacted with me and they made false stories to dehumanize me, to defame me, and for them to get promoted and rewarded for doing it, because this is what this phenomenon is. It is the defaming, the cyberbullying, the humiliation, the dehumanization, and the destruction of an innocent good person who did nothing wrong. This psychopathic behavior is being rewarded. Absolutely everybody who made money out of this did exactly this. They lied and then they laughed at their crimes and the defamation crimes, right? For which they have to go to prison. They committed this crime, but they laughed about it. They cyberbullied me, and then they promoted and rewarded everybody who did the same. And that's what everybody did. Absolutely all money that was made is blood money. And it is ridiculous. People make up false stories about me. They become criminals, and society makes them world stars. They get rewarded with fame and money and opportunities that 99.99% of people only dream of. Well, I said 99.99. It's more like 99.99999. It's like 1 in a million chance. And they all get it because they destroy an innocent person. And then people laugh at me and they say, look, those people destroyed your life and made them world stars. And now we laugh at you. And we prevented you from having a social or professional life. And then we laugh at you even more and we call you a loser. This is the greatest hypocrisy in history. Only psychopaths should be able to do that, but this is what everybody does collectively. And when I say the truth, again, people reject it. They call me crazy. They said at one point, they said, I can't wait for them to lock you up in a basement so you cannot share these horrible false things. You know what actually is behind these words? It's basically stop saying the truth. We don't want to hear it. We want you locked up so we cannot make justice. If you're so sure that I'm guilty, let everything go to court. If I'm guilty, I'll go to prison. But I won't. I'll prove my innocence. That is what's not 100%. 100%. That's it. Everybody's guilty, I'm innocent. It's that easy. You don't agree? Good, let it go to court and we'll see then. But no, you don't give my human rights. You don't let it go to court. But then you keep saying that I'll be guilty, and you keep making up false stories, and I record everything, and I can prove that everything is false, right? I can prove this. I can prove everything. And again, it is ridiculous. I received, I think, more than 100 comments, far more than 100, of people saying, kill yourself, or uh, just start a mass shooting so they can kill you. So we get rid of you. So you cannot rightfully accuse us for our crimes. Then that's what everybody wants. They don't say this, but the actions prove this. They want me silenced to accept this torture, which is inhumane and it's not gonna happen. But then I stand up for the truth, and everybody conspires against me. It's ridiculous. So what's gonna happen now? Every single day, everywhere I go, everybody makes up false stories, and they are being rewarded for it. That private internet group is a criminal organization. That illegal deal, it is not a mediation deal. It is the illegal stripping of human rights of an innocent good person and sentencing me, to lifelong torture worse than prison time in the European Union would ever be. This is what it is. It's more than this. It's the encouragement of society to turn into psychopaths, into functional psychopaths, in order to be rewarded with fame and money. And apparently, 99.99% of people love this. The moment they see me, they forget all moral values, all values that society is built upon, they're all forgotten. They literally turn into functional psychopaths. They make up horrible stories, and then they laugh because they know that this is the behavior that gets them rewarded with fame and money. And the proof is out there. People who had done this were taken from being a no one. They were made world stars. They were made models, singers, actors, everything. It is the proof is out there. I provide proof, but most of the proof is already out there. I can prove everything in court. It's ridiculous. So people commit crimes, they destroy an innocent person, and they're being rewarded with it. They turn into role models, into world stars. And everybody copies their exact behavior because they want to be exactly like them. How did they get there? They destroyed an innocent life. Okay, let's destroy the same innocent life so we can get there as well, and everybody does it. It doesn't get more ridiculous than this. This is literally torture. If it's called physical torture, this is the worst possible torture. Everybody from family to friends to everybody that I ever knew and everybody that I meet, everybody does this. You isolate a person and everybody denies everything. They say, go have a life, go study, go work, go do whatever, but it is impossible. And they don't admit it. I'm saying the truth, the horrifying truth, and no one admits it. They say, no, it cannot be possible. It's you who is the problem. You are the one saying bad things and doing all sorts of horrible, illogical stuff, and then not admitting it, but that doesn't make any sense. I keep repeating daily that I'm innocent, I keep repeating daily that everybody lies, and everybody actually lies, and no one provides any proof because they all lie, and I can't provide proof that they all lied. Everybody keeps it behind my back, and they don't allow it to go to court because they know that I can prove everything. It's ridiculous. And it keeps going. It keeps going. At this point, I provided enough proof to justify and to require a massive revolution. But the revolutions don't happen because people don't suffer. People are happy. That it is an entertainment to them. It's ridiculous. Human rights abuse of one person doesn't matter as long as everybody considers it entertainment. If tomorrow they would say, okay, whoever beats up Paul is rewarded with fame and money, They would be waiting outside my house. Everybody would try to beat me up. This is exactly what happens. You don't realize this because this is psychological torture. It doesn't leave any scars. But let me illustrate it in a different way. So now the crime that's being rewarded is defamation, which is people make up false stories, they destroy my identity, they cause infinite pain, they show it to the entire world loves, cause infinite pain. But it's psychological. There's no scars on me. But for you to better illustrate that, imagine someone beats me up, it causes infinite pain, exactly the same thing. But it's not psychological, it's physical. They beat me up, and then and then I say, oh look, I was beaten up, I'm in pain. That person must pay. But then what does society do? They take that nobody, the criminal, they make them a world stars. Right? That's what happened. They give the person fame and money, and then they say, look, that's how we have to be. That's our role model. And then everybody else does the exact same thing. Everybody that I interact with, well, in this case, they would beat me up. I would be screaming, it's an infinite injustice. They must all go to prison, infinite pain. I cannot have a social life because everybody who I interact with beats me up. And they get rewarded for it. This is easier for you to understand because this is what's happening. A crime that causes infinite pain is being rewarded. So everybody commits it. Moral values don't exist at all. With the promise of fame and money, everybody loses absolutely all moral values. Everybody. There's not one person who said, oh, I'm not gonna make up false stories about Paul because it's morally it's not correct to do that. No, no one, not one person. Hundreds and hundreds of people that I met, not one person said it. Absolutely everyone made up false stories in a psychopathic manner in the hopes that they will be rewarded with fame and money. Or for whatever messed up reason they had. But this is what everybody did. And again, this is a crime that is being rewarded. If tomorrow this would change and say, okay, now it's not defamation that is being promoted, it's violence. And absolutely every person that I meet, because now beating up Paul would be legalized, right? So now defamation was legalized, no consequences for defamation. On the contrary, you're being rewarded for it. Now let's change defamation to violence. Everybody would be violent with me. Everybody would beat me up because they know they cannot get punished and they know that they will be rewarded for it. This is what this phenomenon is. It is a step back for humanity. Psychopathic behavior is being rewarded. And people see it as an entertainment. Everybody is guilty. Everybody knows that. It can be proven in court. So the only justification is not that they did not commit the crimes. It's that I would be a bad person who would deserve their crimes. And they use their defamation, their stories, and they pretend that they would be true in order to make it seem fair. But I can prove everything in court. I can prove that everybody lied, and I can prove that I'm innocent. And I can prove that I did this to an innocent good person who did absolutely nothing wrong. And again, society's reaction is enough of proof to justify what this phenomenon is. Because again, I provided proof that the deal is illegal. Everybody knows that the deal is illegal. What do they say? They say no, no one go to court because he cannot prove his innocence even if he would be innocent. So then there is a chance that an innocent person goes to prison. We cannot allow that. So instead, we can inflict torture worse than prison would be, and not for a limited time, lifelong, and we will not admit to that. It's ridiculous. It's the greatest hypocrisy in history. Once again, I can prove my innocence. You don't need to believe me? No one needs to believe me. What you need to do is to give me the same human rights that over 400 million people have in the European Union. I'm the only person who does not have human rights. Crimes are legalized against me, and they're being rewarded. And I can prove it in court. I'm not given a court case because I can prove my innocence and because everybody is guilty. I'm the only person in the European Union whose rights have been illegally taken away. This is what this is. Again, you do not need to believe me that I'm innocent. You do not need to believe me that everybody lied. You need to give me a trial, a court case, a fair court trial. Everything must go to court. And then I need to be allowed to have the chance to prove my innocence. And I will. I'll prove my innocence about everything. This is what's going to happen. But society does not do that. They say, okay, you were accused, you were not allowed to defend yourself, but we pretend that you'd be guilty and we torture you daily. This is an infinite hypocrisy. You don't understand that every single day that passes is another day of torture and of irreparable injustice. It is irreparable. You don't understand. First, so every single day is another day stolen from my life and replaced with torture. Over 6 years of my life that has been stolen and replaced with inhumane torture. Can you process that? Over 6 years. If I would have gone to prison, let's say I wouldn't be able to prove my innocence. If I would have gone to prison, it would have been less bad than this. And I would have been out by now. Can you process that? That this torture is worse than prison? Can you? This is not for limited time. At least as far as I'm aware, this goes on for life. So I've basically been sentenced to something worse than life in prison, far worse. And people pretend that it is in my benefit. This is ridiculous. And I come up with arguments and proof, and they reject it all, and then they insult me, and they say, no, you must be crazy, you have to be locked up before you prove the truth, because we are all guilty. Again, this happens over and over again. So 6 years of my life stolen, not to mention the psychological and physical effects of inhumane torture on the human body, on me. You know what extreme stress causes? It causes a lot of health problems in later life. You know what being locked up and tortured by the government causes? Yeah, it causes a lot of health problems in later life. It's not only 6 years stolen from my life and replaced with torture, but whatever my life expectancy was, you can already take 5 to 10 years off. Just from what happened until now. Because this is torture. You do not understand what torture does to a human being. And no one admits anything. Everybody pretends like everything is fair. The moment I go outside, people look at me and burst into laughter. Where in history did this happen? You take an innocent person, you destroy him, and an innocent person says, I'm innocent, and you laugh at anything in pain. That never happens. Only psychopaths do that. And you are all functioning psychopaths. You live in your delusional world where things to be fair and reject the horrifying inhumane truth. You use your convenient delusions, your false stories that you made up daily throughout these 6 years to justify it. And again, if you think that I'm guilty, then I should be in prison, right? But in order to get there, first needs to go to court, and it has to be proven that I will be guilty. And I say exactly that. Let it go to court. If I'm guilty, I'll go to prison. It's that simple. But you say no. No. You cannot do that. Because why? Because everybody knows that I can prove my innocence. And what happens afterwards? You get hundreds, thousands of people who are all going to be rightfully accused of defamation. You have hundreds of people who will go to prison. You have tens of thousands more who will receive alternative punishments, such as fees or community work or whatever other stuff. You have civil unrest. This is what you're going to have. You understand the reasons of the government for turning to dictatorial, communistic manners of burying the truth. This is why, because they value the calm of society more than an innocent life. They decided to torture me, to silence me, in order to prevent hundreds of guilty people from paying for their crimes. Then this is what happened. It is extremely simple. This is what this phenomenon is. It is a step back for humanity. And if I get access to all information and I break down absolutely everything that was said, I can prove everything. 100%. There's not one thing that I said that I cannot prove. I can prove absolutely everything. Do you remember a couple of months ago? When, a bit more, I don't know. It happened in the last year when on a private group, at least according to reactions, this is what happened. I started saying that I'm innocent and the proof is out there on the group. You know what happened? They said, we're going to reset everything, new beginning or whatever bullshit. Why did they say that? Why did they say that? They said that because in the past post, in combination with the comments on this post, the truth is proven. The reactions of society match exactly what I say. The truth is already out there. You have me posting on social media the truth every single day for 6 years saying I'm innocent, and you have society posting stories that contradict everything that I said for these 6 years. And their logic makes no sense because it's not logic. It's not how common sense works. It's not how common sense works. Absolutely everything that is done to bury the truth. There's disinformation and distraction, all sorts. And it's not caused by oppression. This is very important. There's not someone up there who says, you must censor this or you must reject it. People do this out of their own initiative. They see the truth, they see me writing the truth, and what do? They first insult me, and they reject it completely. They say, no, this cannot be true. And what do they do afterwards? They say, we have to stop him sharing this false information because it hurts society, so we must censor it. That's what they do. But in reality, what do they say is something else. Reading between the lines is, don't let him prove the truth because we as a society are all guilty and he can prove it, and he's innocent and he can prove that too, and everybody is in trouble. So what's the only thing to save society is stop him from saying the truth, lock him up in a basement, make him kill himself, torture him, encourage him to kill himself, or to fight people so other people can kill him in self-defense or whatever. He must be gone. That's exactly the reaction of society. I post the truth with logic, with arguments, with literal evidence, and these are the comments that I receive. They say kill yourself. I can't wait for you to be locked up in a basement so you cannot share this false information. And then they say no trial for you, must be locked up right now, nothing must go to court. Why do they do that? Because I can prove everything in court, and everybody knows this. Every single person who studied this phenomenon, who studied all the proof and evidence that I have provided, who studied my past social media posts, and not just because this is what people who study this phenomenon know that I'm saying the truth and I can prove it. But what did this society do? I posted hundreds, maybe thousands of posts throughout the years. We handpicked the 3 or 4 that could be considered incriminated, and they shared those everywhere. Then we have another 1,000 posts which I'm saying that I'm innocent about everything and everybody lies, and they keep that buried because they know that proves my version of the truth. I stated daily that I'm innocent, everybody stated the otherwise. It makes no sense. That's what they did. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and they use those 3 or 4 posts to justify how I would be guilty. And it makes no sense because those posts, none of them do I incriminate myself. What I do is I use elements of people's stories which I did not know what they mean because I did not know anything. I did not know what crimes I was accused of. I did not know what people made up. Only thing that I saw, the only thing that I saw was people's reactions. This is what people reacted to. They reacted to these stories, the stories that they made up. And I reacted to the elements of these stories without knowing what they meant. But this can be proven because before I reacted to those elements, I said that I'm a good person, I'm innocent about all crimes. And afterwards, and during this, I also made posts saying that I'm innocent about everything and that everybody lies. It is this simple. Society twists common sense to the point where they are functionally delusional and psychotic. The society has no limits to how psychotic, delusional, and psychopathic and low they will get to not allow me to prove my innocence in court. The hypocrisy has no limits. I'm not asking anyone to say that, oh, I believe you, you're innocent. No. I'm asking, let me prove it in court. If I can't prove it and I go to prison, it's no problem. I'm fine with that. And I'll 100% prove it. And another important thing, but if I would go to prison, I would prefer prison over this because this is torture worse than prison. If I would be beaten up in prison daily, I would prefer it over this. The prison time is limited. This is for life. I won't take that. I would rather go to prison. This is one truth. I'd rather go to prison than this. Another truth, I won't go to prison because I can prove everything. And another truth, if you don't believe me, let it go to court. Because if I'm guilty, if I'm guilty, then I deserve to go to prison. If I'm innocent, I deserve to prove my innocence. And if I'm innocent and then I go to prison, that's on me. Because I take that risk. Not you, and it's not your decision, it's mine. It's my life. I want this. Everything must go to court. That's how the legal system works. Person is accused of something, it goes to court. It has to go to court. The only reason why nothing is going to court is because society is guilty and because I can 100% prove that. Society must admit its crimes and the consequences of its crimes. If 10,000 people are guilty, accept your crimes, accept your consequences, accept the consequences of your crimes. And that is it. If you go to prison, you go to prison. If you have to pay a fee, you pay a fee. It doesn't matter. If you have to cancel your social media account, you will cancel it. It doesn't matter. If you're guilty, you're gonna pay for it. That justice happening in court. That simple. If I'm guilty, I'll go to prison, but I won't. If you don't believe me, it doesn't matter, because it's my life, and anyway, the deal is illegal. And this is the legal and correct thing to do. And silence is a crime, because this deal is a crime itself. And legalize these future crimes. And it must stop. And that is it. Let it go to court. If I cannot prove what I say, then I go to prison and I'm fine with that. That's not gonna happen. I don't care that the lawyers and other specialists in law or whatever other people saying that, oh, he cannot prove his innocence, it doesn't matter, we cannot let it because an innocent person can go to prison, but again, it's my life and my decision. And if I say that this torture is worse than prison, then it is. Because I'm the one who decides, not you. And at the end of the day, the proof that the deal is illegal is there. The multiple reasons why this deal is illegal, and they're all out there. It must be nullified, and silence is a crime. There's so many lawyers, so many politicians, so many people who can do something about it. Nullify it. If you don't want it to be nullified, according to the law, they'll nullify it in less than 24 hours. But no one wants that. No one wants that. This is illegal. This phenomenon is an atrocity, and I can prove everything in court. Let it go to court.